Hey everyone, Scott Cunningham, aka Scottcbusiness. Business. Today we're going to be talking about the 7 ways that blockchain social media platforms are better than legacy platforms. And by legacy platforms, just so that you know, we're talking about Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all the traditional social platforms that have pretty much a monopoly on the advertising space and the social space right now. So there's all these different up and coming platforms that are trying to provide solutions to the issues presented by legacy platforms. What are some of those? Some of the issues are lack of transparency, overly centralized, lack of monetization or demonetization, full of censorship, lacking privacy. The networks aren't really distributed, so again, easy to censor you, and you can't invest in yourself, so to speak, which is possible with stake, proof of stake networks, which we'll get into. So those are just some of them too. There's more problems than just that, but these are the main things that we're going to talk about today. So what are some of these platforms? What are some examples? On the very, very, end of the spectrum, full blockchain integration, we have Steam. Steam is the best example for a fully integrated blockchain social platform. On the very other side, we have, like Uptrend and PublishOX, where these aren't actually using the blockchain that much or hardly at all, but they are crypto monetized, so they get lumped into this, this atmosphere of this ecosystem of apps. And I'll explain later why that's relevant, because they do have some of the benefits listed, and they have sort of certain ones to a very small degree. Whereas, a fully blockchain integrated platform is going to have all of these benefits. And there's hundreds of other platforms that exhibit some of these benefits. And this will just give you a good way to tell if a platform really is blockchain integrated and fulfilling the values behind that and what that really looks like. And I'll explain as we go. So for example, transparency is the first one. And though transparency isn't specific to blockchain, typically with any blockchain integrated platform, this is one of the main values. And you see that with Steam. So for example, every single transaction, every comment, every message, every post, it is all timestamped and it is all publicly available. You can vote for witnesses who will make decisions on your behalf, and you can see what they're doing. You can take away your vote at any time. Super, super transparent. A slight step down from that is Minds. Minds isn't fully blockchain integrated, so naturally it's not going to do as much. It's not as publicly transparent because you can't see all the transactions, but their source code is open for everyone to see. You can see exactly what they're working on. They put out updates. They're very transparent in what they're doing for you. If you look at Facebook, you never know what's happening. They don't issue update notices. They don't do anything like that at all. You have no idea what's happening with legacy platforms. You just play catch up all the time. When we're talking about decentralization for the second benefit, when you think about centralized platforms like Facebook, centralized means that there's a central authority who can make decisions. And unfortunately, there's no way to avoid bias. So Facebook tends to be biased against right-wing personalities. And that is a function of a centralized network, because, again, there's really no way to avoid bias when you're using individuals to decide. So the only way around that is decentralized networks. For example, Steam, the best example of this. With Steam, there is so much not a central authority that if you even lose your password, you can't get it back from someone because no one has it, which is empowering, but also a little scary for some users, right? Don't lose your password. But it puts you in control fully, including the responsibility and the blame if something bad were to happen. So again, a lot of blockchain technologies are about empowering the user. Sometimes that gives you more control, but also more responsibility. And with Steam, since there's no central authority, there's no one who can ban you, for example. So you can't get censored. That's a big deal. And, with platforms like Minds, they have a jury system where, you can get, if you appeal a decision, a moderation decision, a jury is randomly formed for people who don't know you or the other user, and then they will vote, and you can appeal appeals, and you keep going. It's very decentralized. And if anything, all these platforms are more decentralized than any legacy platform, even, at the lower end of the spectrum, where like PublishOX, you could have someone banned by a moderator because it is still a pretty centralized system, like a pretty centralized platform, but they exhibit a lot of great blockchain-esque values that lump them in with the rest of them, and they do a really great job. I'm not attacking them for being more centralized. That's just the reality of it. There's going to be centralized blockchain social media platforms, and there's going to be decentralized ones, but naturally the decentralized ones are much more trustworthy. For example, DLive is extremely centralized to the point where it is not trustworthy because they can arbitrarily manipulate the value of their currency because it's not a cryptocurrency. And interestingly, I just checked the other day, and they made it so that you can cash out via DLive, but you can only buy via Lino. And they're supposed to be separate companies, but clearly that's not the case. And you also have to give your ID to cash out, which is really interesting because you don't have to give your ID to buy it, only to get your money back. And there's a minimum withdrawal of like 4,000. So you need to, sometimes at some points, people might actually have to buy more to be able to get some back, which is ridiculous. Yeah, and then Uptrend and PublishOX aren't very decentralized, but they're definitely better than a lot of legacy platforms for the most part. When we're talking about monetization, not only are they not really demonetizing you, they basically allow you to monetize everything that you're doing. Some platforms more than others, like Minds and Steam, will give you money for most of the things you do. Minds even more so, whereas like PublishOX is really just for tips you receive, and Uptrend is a little closer to Minds, where it's like upvotes, comments, multiple things. But generally, you're able to earn cryptocurrency at the very least for your content that you create, and that is huge. Not only are you not getting demonetized, but you're able to start monetizing right away. There's no requirements. You're earning crypto from the very first day that you start. Platforms like Steam are probably the best for this because you can earn the most. But I would say PublishOX is the fairest, most equal way to earn because it's crypto agnostic. So you're going to be earning different coins, and you're not concerned with the platform's coin going up or down. So for example, Steam, their coin has lost a lot of value in the past several months. So, people are concerned, whereas PublishOX is just using different sponsors. So you're never really concerned about that. And as we see, PublishOX is continuing to grow. So that's good for them. In terms of censorship, a lot of these platforms are censorship resistant, or that's where they're leaning towards. So for example, Minds isn't perfect. It's not built into the blockchain or the infrastructure, but they only really make moderation decisions based on things that are illegal. With Steam, the censorship resistant, component is very, very prominent. So you really can't get censored on Steam unless there is a massive effort amongst many, many people to all censor you, and no one else, feels the need to try to combat that. And that rarely ever happens because it's community moderated. So even if that happens, you're still not gone. Like, you can't get banned. You can be somewhat limited, but you can never be fully censored. And I think Steam does the best for this. And there's a lot of other platforms that are really great with censorship resistance. Gab, again, Minds is doing a pretty good job. Again, with PublishOX and Uptrend, they're more centralized, so you can't trust that you can't get censored. But like I said, not every platform is able to utilize all 7 of these benefits. Some only use some use all, some use fractions of them, or very small amounts. Privacy, really big for all these. They're very big on privacy. Minds does a really great job. They have an encrypted messenger application because they know that one big issue with Facebook is that Facebook will read your private messages. So Minds ensures that that is not possible. And that is a great example of privacy. And generally, privacy will come with decentralization and not having people who are watching what you're doing and tracking you. And all of these websites, they have here's the issue. You don't really have good targeting for boosting or good analytics, or, know where people are coming from and all these great insights, because people aren't really being tracked. There's no cookies. So with privacy comes a bit of a lack of insight for creators, but it's a trade-off, and they might find a way around it without being too invasive to people's privacy as well. So the next one is distributed networks, and this is really relevant because this is kind of part of censorship resistance as well. When you have a distributed network, it's much harder to, kick someone off, because, for example, on Steam with DTube, you can host your videos on IPFS, meaning that you can host it from your computer with peer-to-peer technology, and that way you can ensure that, if something were to happen, your video won't get taken down. And it's extremely useful. Minds has experimental options for peer-to-peer media, and there's a whole bunch of great ways that this is done. BitChute, it uses the same kind of model where it's like peer-to-peer. And distributed networks are really, really important for ensuring that you have, a stable network that can't be censored. It's generally a little bit slower, but it's much more secure and much safer for the creators. And they don't have that, that stress in the back of their mind that maybe tomorrow everything will be gone. And lastly, the ability to stake investment. Not all platforms do this, but there are many platforms that do allow you to stake your investment, meaning with Steam, for example, you can stake your Steam, and then you can delegate that stake to other users that you support, or you could use that stake to up your voting power. There's many different uses for it, but essentially it allows you to invest in the platform and keep that crypto, like that Steam cryptocurrency, within that network. And basically what that's doing is you're giving more value to Steam it, for example, if you're powering up for Steam it, because this keeps it locked in, and it ensures that there will be future value because it's locked in for 3 months. So they can ensure that within 3 months' time, there will still be this amount of Steam invested into the platform. And that gives it more value because, well, like the percentage of existing Steam that is invested or isn't invested obviously will give the platform more value. And there's many other platforms that have staking. Uptrend is a different kind of way. With theirs, you stake, but you can't get the stake back. So with Steam, it's a 3-month waiting period to get all of your Steam back. in fractions, 1/13 every week. And whereas uptrend, if you stake your investment, it is gone. It is forever gone. It's staked forever. But there is a big difference. On Steam, increasing your stake ups your vote value that you can give other people. Whereas uptrend, if you stake your investment, which is gone forever, so it's more like it's leveling up on an uptrend. If you do this, you will earn more and give out more. So it is more beneficial to stake, but again, you can't get that back. So you have to determine, how much are you actually going to use uptrend? How much do you actually want to put towards this? So that's pretty much everything. Those are the 7 main ways that blockchain platforms, or at least most blockchain integrated platforms, utilize some or all of these benefits. And, even if it's just a little bit, it's still way better than most traditional platforms. The only issue is they might lack a little bit of the functionality and features because they're much newer and they have much smaller communities. But I would say outside of that, any other gripe is kind of unwarranted. Like people saying, oh, because it's free speech, there's more spam and hate speech. It's like, well, they give you filters and you can block people or mute people or whatever you want to do. So there's definitely ways around that. They give you more of the control to deal with things yourself rather than you relying on them to arbitrarily make those decisions. And that's the whole point of decentralization and part of the motivation of blockchain technologies to begin with. Let me know what you guys think. Am I missing any benefits? Did I misrepresent any? What kind of blockchain social platforms are you using? Let us know in the comments below. And if you watched to the very end, make sure to comment #1 ham in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I am Scott Cunningham, aka Scotty Business. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Cheers.